zone out.
What is going on? Welcome back to that stupid dating show. Eric and I are back again, and today we have a very special guest.
We do.
Tell us about her, Eric.
All right. Well,
introduce our guest.
Yeah. So we're here with Sam, and I found her on TikTok. She it came up on my For You page, and she asked a brilliant question. And her question was, men, talk to me about approaching women. Like, her first question was, do I have to look single? And all this stuff. Like, do I need to just wear a sign that says, if you love Jesus?
Does single have a look?
So
apparently,
I stitched it and answered the question like, no, you can't look single. And I kind of went into this whole thing about, there's a lot of assumptions that go through men's heads about approaching women and things like that. Me being a man that I have no problem approaching a woman, but in this society, it is kind of harder for men to do it. And she's also made another video, do men think it's dangerous to? And it's not that it's a danger, it's just more of a, there's so many things going on. We have a lot of men have kind of approached women with one thing in mind, and then the woman kind of projects that last time onto the next guy that comes up, and then the man kind of gets this fear of, well, maybe she's too good for me. All these assumptions just happen. So I've stitched a couple of her videos. I reached out to her because as I added her, she added me back. So now I see all her stories, and it's just her being a wholesome Christian woman looking for love.
Awesome.
And, then she's always traveling. So I said, this is going to be a great episode. Let me reach out to her. And she responded, because I've reached out to a few people and everybody's just like, nah. They just they leave me unread.
But before you go any further, let's allow Sam to tell her about her.
You said introduce her.
That was a long introduction.
Hey, you can have at it.
Yeah.
I would much rather someone else
She's
than me talk
loving it.
about
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
You're just
go
feeding
for
the
it.
ego.
Just put the mic up to your mouth a little bit more so we can hear you.
Yeah, just make sure you talk in the mic.
So Sam, go ahead and introduce yourself. Age, relationship status, job, all that good stuff.
Got it. Yeah. So I'm Sammy, or Sams on TikTok. I am 29. I'm holding on to those last few months before the big 30. So I'm 29 years old. My current relationship status, I am single. I am currently seeing somebody, but it's very casual. There's no label on anything yet.
Okay.
So I would still say single. Profession, I am a HR manager for a private security company, actually.
Oh, man.
And I I am not about HR. They have just thrown that title on me. My original position was not HR.
HR is like a homeowners association.
Which is why I don't like saying that's what I do. So I don't really, identify with that title, but it is what it is.
HR on my work has a folder on me like that. I'm always
yeah.
HR. I'm always in HR.
I also run a competitive cheerleading program.
Oh,
nice.
perfect.
On top of the social media thing. So it's a very weird balance. That's why my tagline is all over the place.
Is that
I'm literally all over the place.
Is that something you did in college, high school, cheerleading?
I did gymnastics in like elementary school, middle school, high school, and then I did cheerleading from high school through college.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So where'd you go to college?
I went to Campbell University.
Where's that?
It's a very small Baptist college in the middle of nowhere, Harnett County, North Carolina.
Okay, and what part of North Carolina are you from?
I actually was born in Chicago.
Me too.
So, oh, really?
Yeah,
Look at
yeah.
that. So I'm not originally from North Carolina. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in Pinehurst area, where all the golf is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was stationed out in Fort Bragg, so I know
Okay.
that area pretty well.
Yeah, a lot of the military families in Southern Pines, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So then I moved to the Raleigh area after graduating college, because I was not going to stay in Harnett County. There's nothing there.
Yeah, for sure. So how do you like the Raleigh area?
I love it.
How's the dating scene in Raleigh?
It's awful.
Awful. I wonder if it's as bad as Charlotte.
I love it. I don't love it. I think
Raleigh-
Charlotte would be better.
Oh, maybe.
I would think so. I was going to say,
Definitely for
is
women.
Raleigh like Charlotte? Like Charlotte is like I wouldn't say party town, but there's a lot of clubs and bars, and it's just Charlotte's just like almost like a main hub, it seems.
Right.
Is
so
Raleigh like that?
I haven't spent a whole lot of time in Charlotte. I do have a little bit of Charlotte PTSD, but it's fine. Haven't spent a whole lot of time here, but what I've gathered from Charlotte versus Raleigh is that Charlotte is a lot more young singles.
Yeah, I guess
And
that's
Raleigh is a lot more families
That makes
and
sense.
like older established people.
I got it.
So
All
I
right.
think that's part of why dating in Raleigh, I would say, is probably more difficult than Charlotte.
Yeah.
Because there's less prospects that are available.
Yeah.
Now in Charlotte, maybe they're not emotionally available because of the party scene.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I
you
think
hit
there's
on that.
more of them.
Yeah, there definitely is more, and I would say that women have the pick of the litter here in Charlotte. The problem is most of the men are 6'5", finances.
Oh gosh,
and
I don't want
blue
that stuck in my
eyes.
head.
Yeah. And yeah, there just seems to be an odd number of bad to good guy ratio in Charlotte. So there's
More bad.
I would say there's probably, from what I see on Are We Dating the Same Guy Facebook page, there's a lot.
Why
of
do you
bad.
see that Facebook page?
Why do I see that?
Right, yeah.
Because I am incognito.
Okay.
Yeah.
On the
Yeah,
Charlotte
I
one?
like that
On the Charlotte
reaction.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I mean, you can kick me out. It's fine, but
I'm not in it. I don't live in
yeah,
Charlotte.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are
It's,
you in any of them?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, I don't comment. I do anything, but we see it just for material and or if we have to call a man out. I've tried to get some men that have just been tools.
We're
to come
also in
on.
a guy's version.
Yeah, we're also.
So
in a
you
guy's
do it.
version.
You're in there for research purposes, not
Essentially.
for.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
we
for
both
research.
know we've been posted. It's
Yeah.
we don't care. We're just there
Okay.
to watch the shit show.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Research purposes, I can be okay with.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
it's
wanted to
not-
make sure you guys weren't in there and then ratting people out.
No, not at
because
all.
That's not cool. Okay.
Not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. We don't rat people out. One, we don't know very many people, and then two, it's just for research. You know, I think that some topics come up where the whole looking up the phone number or doing background checks. I'm just like, why don't they just? I mean, doing a background check at a point of dating, you should have already done that before you kind of.
Potentially, I think people post on that right when they first start talking to people, though.
But if you-
Majority of the time, it seems.
So do you think that if someone's posting that though, they already have that intuition that they should probably not even go on a date?
Sometimes there's an intuition there, but I feel like nowadays women just feel like they have to be overly cautious
And I agree
with
with that.
anything.
I
and
agree with that.
I am so busy that I don't want to waste my time on
Right.
going on a date for 2 hours that I don't want to be on
Yeah.
if I know that that person ahead of time isn't somebody that's going to
Sure.
work out for me.
Yeah.
Well,
So if I can rule that out before, I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
I
agree
can
with that.
understand that completely, but what about all the ones that portray these men in a way that they're not like at all? Like, say you meet or match with a guy, and then you see him posted, and somebody's basically just straight up lying about him. Are you gonna not go on that date just because of that when it could be that one?
What do you think is the percentage that somebody's posting is a complete lie
I'd
about
say
a
it's
person?
higher than we think. I
That
would say it's
everything they're saying on there is a lie.
not everything. I would say being a lie is higher than what we would actually think. Like, I would say
What number? Give it a number.
I
what
was going to
percentage?
say at least 50%.
At least 50
Yeah.
is a complete lie.
I wouldn't say a complete lie, but it's not the complete truth either.
I mean, everybody has different experiences that are going to
Right.
control what their one person's truth based on their experience is going to be
Exactly.
different
So why
than
would you
somebody
base
else's.
your opinion off somebody else's experience when your experience is going to be totally different?
It could be totally different, but if I'm friends with a woman, or not even friends with a woman, and she's going to see, we'll use my past relationship for example. If she's going to go on a date with him,
Mm-hmm.
I am 100% going to give her my experience so then she can do with that information what she wishes going forward.
Right.
So I agree with you, Sam, that I think that is smart, and that's what people should use that site for.
But also, too, you're an honest person.
But you don't know that through online.
Well, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
but
point.
Not everybody, even in the guys group, like we just
yeah.
troll them. We
Yeah,
don't
so
even
me,
care.
Me
Like,
and him troll
Right.
the guys because you can see that the guys are doing exactly what maybe some of the women are doing in there.
So there's a guys group where they post women.
Yep.
what's the most common theme that you see of comments on there? I would love for somebody to post me on a group, although I guess I don't date like frequently enough for anyone to have any information.
For research purposes, right?
I'll let you in.
I don't want to be in it. But I'm just curious. It's like looking at Hinge from the opposite gender's perspective.
Yeah.
I like to look at female profiles so I can see this is what they're putting. Like, this is what mine's stacking up against, you know?
Well, you'll see my Hinge later on.
I did see that. I was excited about that part.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
But anyways, we could talk about this topic again later. I actually think Rain's percentage is a little high, honestly.
I agree.
But I can read some of them and know that this woman sounds a little scorned or a little salty that the man didn't choose her. And then it's the same in the guys group. And that's the first thing we say to the guys, like, dude, it sounds like she just didn't like you.
Or, I mean, and that's the thing is when somebody gets, ghosted or turned down or whatever, and then they go post them, they're a little salty about it. So they're naturally they're not going to be 100% honest.
So and that was my post was you could definitely read the saltiness, and that wasn't the story. Like it wasn't, and she left out major parts of the date
really at the end of the day, there's three
sides,
parts, three sides: the truth, his, hers, and the truth.
Yeah. So I mean, I like the idea. I think if it was used a little bit differently, it would be fantastic.
I think that's where the members as adults just have to take it with a grain of salt. And like, I'm reading this, but it's up to me to make my own decision.
Right. Exactly.
Like, I would say that it's great to post someone that is a predator, has a warrant, has all
Dangerous.
this, has like 7 baby mamas and 2 kids, right? I don't know how that works, but
or sleeps with like 25 other people around the country while you're dating them.
Exactly. So that sounded like personal, but it was very specific. But yeah, those are the ones that women stay away. But if it's just like, hey, here's Eric, you have any tea? Oh yeah, we had a date and then it didn't go well, so he breadcrumbed me. Now that woman doesn't want to go on a date.
Breadcrumb? What does that mean?
It's like, I don't like you, but I'm still
leading you on.
Or it's more of like, I'm just gonna. I think it's polite to just respond to texts.
Instead of communicating your
feelings?
I
definitely communicate.
Okay.
Yeah, no. But it's more of a, hey, good morning. But that's it. So they would call that breadcrumbing, but I'm just like being polite.
That's when you just stop responding.
But then,
on both sides.
You've still got
on both sides.
You've still got the fish on the line, but you haven't pulled it in the boat.
Sure, yeah. I admit
nobody got time for that.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into the topic.
I like fishing.
of discussion, and it's you as a Christian woman dating in a. Oh man, my phone. Hold on.
Is it hot?
I was gonna say I'm worried about this overheating and stuff, but.
Okay. All right. So question 1 that I brought out to you is, what role does faith, so your Christian faith, play in your approach to dating and relationships?
I would go as far as saying that it is the main factor when it comes to anything that I approach in terms of dating. I mean, life in general, specifically dating, since that's what we're discussing. My faith is the most important thing.
So when you go and you match with somebody on Hinge, or what dating apps are you on?
Well, I was using Hinge. I'm not using it currently, but
okay.
Hinge.
Are you on pause because you're talking to a guy?
Oh, I just haven't opened it.
Oh, okay. So is that like a filter that you put on, like they have to have Christian in there?
So yes, but you can't. It doesn't actually filter that unless you pay for it. I don't pay for it.
Yeah.
But if it's not on their profile, if they don't at the very least say where you can put your faith, if it doesn't say anything at all, or it doesn't say Christian, or a variation of, then I'm not going to match with you.
Really?
Like,
interesting.
The profile could be perfect, but if you don't say that you're a Christian on there, not for me.
Now, that's funny because I don't put that. Because, one, I don't care about people's religion when it comes to having conversation, meeting them, or anything. But I do know that there's militant atheists, agnostics, and other religions that will literally just want to have an argument and fight with you, or they will already put that projection of their anti-religious views, where that's not me. Like I'm open to having discussions, religious topics, and conversations within a friendly, loving manner. So I don't put it based on.
But is that what you're on Hinge for?
What?
having just conversations?
No,
with
I'm
people?
looking for a match, but I think conversation started off.
Yeah, but would you want to be in a? What's your goal on Hinge?
Oh, I want
To
find
be
my
remarried? You want to be married?
Yeah.
So,
Totally.
are you wanting to marry somebody who is a Christian, or would you marry somebody who does not have that? I don't like the word religion.
Yeah, for sure.
So I don't typically, if somebody asks me, "Are you religious?" I will typically clarify that as, I have a relationship with God.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like the word religious kind of has that negative connotation to people. So,
but that's you. Most people would say that any type of spirituality and or label to a religion, you are religious, and some people don't want that religious person. And then I think a good question to ask them then, what do you mean by religion? What do you mean by religious views? Like, do I uphold, the religious standard of Christianity? Well, yeah, in some senses of the matter, but I'm also different than other Christians on some religious matters, because there are different, teachings and understandings, and things like that, which we could get into. So my goal on Hinge is to find a perfect match to where we get married. And could I marry a non-Christian? Well, yeah, I could, and that's just me. Because I also know that just because they're not Christian or they may not like the label doesn't mean that they don't have a personal relationship with God, and that couldn't formulate into something if I'm passionate about it and they're open-minded. Not like evangelism.
Do you have to have a label in order to have a relationship with God?
No, I don't believe so.
Can you have a relationship with God but then not label yourself as a Christian?
Absolutely.
What's the logic behind that? I would like to hear y'all's logic behind that. Because if being a Christian is simply believing in God, the whole Bible story, how would you say that you are having a relationship with God, but you don't believe that in a sense of being a Christian?
Isn't that any religion, though? Like, my God may not be this guy's God, but does that make him a Christian just because his beliefs are this? Like, there's so many different religions, and they're all labeled separately.
Yeah, but they're labeled as what their religion is,
right?
Hindu,
but
Buddhist,
they're all
whatever.
like reaching to a higher God.
To their God, yes.
So, I mean, I believe whatever your faith is or whatever you believe, at least as long as you have a relationship with whatever creator or God that you claim.
So to you, they don't have to be a Christian, but do you want them to have a relationship with some kind of higher power, or could you marry an atheist?
That's a good question. I don't think I could marry an atheist, no.
Okay.
Because there isn't that sense of higher, something greater than you type mentality.
Okay.
And I'm just going through the ontological argument, which I believe is the best proof of God's existence. They can't conceive anything greater, and therefore I don't think they understand what the definition of God is, and therefore they create their own God within themselves, and they themselves are their own God, which I think is a characteristic flaw.
I can see that.
So, but back to your question, I don't think you need to label it because, one, as Rain was saying, like, there are so many religions that say this, and what God are we talking about? Are we talking about Jesus Christ as the incarnate Son of God who died for our sins and recapitulated all of mankind by being the second Adam? He died on the cross, was raised in 3 days, and he's going to return. Then you have a Christian faith. But with the negative connotations of Christianity in this society, people see, that pastor just murdered his wife, or he's on trial, or he's suspected. Right? Yeah, he murdered his wife. You see a lot of pastors that are very, very narcissistic in their power.
Money.
The pastors aren't God.
Money.
Right, they're not God. But the problem is that society and people look at these people as they should be the most holy, the closest that you could get to God, because they're speaking the word of God and they're teaching the word of God, and yet they're doing nasty things. Now, obviously I understand the difference. I say, well, they're still human and they're still sinners and they still need God. But a lot of people that don't understand that, they don't want to understand that. They just see it and then, well, I've been hurt by the church. I've been hurt by this. And I wouldn't ever want to present myself with this Christian label. And I don't think it's a label. That's a sure thing. I don't want someone to assume this mask, because if I do go out and I sin every day, right? Then they're just like, oh, you're not a real Christian. Well, what? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Sinning makes us more Christian than anything.
Right. So, but a lot of people don't understand that. So that's why I asked the question of, like, does that label is important to you? So that's good.
You could almost parallel that with the Facebook groups we were just talking about. People can speak on their experience, but it's up to them to make an adult decision and differentiate between this was my experience, but it's not all experiences.
Right. But honestly, how many people who have been, and I want to know this from a woman's perspective, how many women that have been hurt by men who claim to be Christian or claim to be good guys or claim to be this, and it just happens all the time that they're just going to, let that guard down again on the same thing. I mean, I think it's a huge projection.
What do you mean, let their guard down?
Let their guard down and be like, oh, you know what? Eric seems cool. He is a Christian. He does this. Oh, wait, I remember the last Christian. Like, how many times do they do that?
I don't know that somebody's going to associate that bad behavior with the fact that they were a Christian.
Okay.
Unless the bad behavior was in the name, if they were trying to use the name of Christ to justify their bad behavior.
Sure.
Then I think that would attach that with their label of being a Christian. But I don't think if I'm hurt by somebody or, they treat me, if a man cheats on me and he said he was a Christian, I'm not going to say, oh, Christian men cheat.
Right.
He was a Christian man, claimed to be a Christian man who cheated on me. But the cheating didn't necessarily have anything to do with the label of his faith. Sure.
Yeah, no, that's a very mature answer. And my thing is you're a mature person that understands.
That was a great answer, honestly.
Where I would say that not many people think like you in those terms.
Maybe that's why dating's hard.
It is, because I don't, and that's why we got you on the show, because I'm like, okay, well, she's got this.
Like, at the end of the day, everybody's judging a book by its cover, and that's the problem with. Are we dating the same guy or a girl, whatever, like people are basically just putting book covers up and saying blah blah blah, this is what I thought about it, but if you haven't read the book, then you have no clue.
Right. I will say that on the group that I'm in, the moderators are very adamant about deleting comments that aren't based on this was a specific experience that I saw or that happened to me, or screenshots. If it's speculation on anything or feelings on anything or just insulting them for appearance-wise or anything, they delete those right away.
That's good.
I mean, without actual physical proof, isn't it all speculating?
Well, based on the person making the post, if they're saying this is what happened to me, then again, that's up to you
your
as
judgment,
a person reading it, up to, in any kind of situation. If somebody's saying this is what happened to me, it's up to you to make the determination on if you think that's truth. That's like with anything. I mean, take a jury, for example. In a criminal case, it's up to the jury. They're just hearing words.
Yeah.
It's up to them to decide if they believe it.
All right. Yeah, that's fair. I would say that the Charlotte group, the moderators aren't very good at that.
Raleigh, they take it way too seriously.
That's good. I mean, I like that.
To a fault, to a point.
Yeah, I think that's
in my opinion.
I think with a group like that, because there's that group on Reddit.
Oh, that.
Reddit is just awful in general.
There's a subreddit called Are We Dating?
Are we dating the same girl as toxic?
Yeah, but it's the letters. But yeah, those guys are just hurt.
They're trying to get all the groups shut down as well.
Trying to get all, and we actually did an episode about that, and Rain got kicked out of the group.
I did.
Ray got kicked out of the group because he was challenging them. All right, so next question.
They don't like women.
Well,
at all.
Those people.
And they can't admit that they're gay.
There's a lot of that in the world.
Yeah. All right. What qualities do you consider most important in a partner from a Christian perspective?
So beyond just their faith in general.
Yeah, just beyond their faith.
Which I would say definitely goes beyond saying the label of being a Christian. That's why I go to further specify it by saying not just labeling yourself as a Christian, but having a relationship with God. And to me, that's going to be, I will say, like you said before, you have some unique views when it comes to, saying you are a Christian, but you have some beliefs that maybe don't align.
I mean, so when I say that, it's more like I hold to a historical Christianity rather than this Western Americanized culture where you get into Calvinism, Arminianism, all this stuff where I just am like, why don't we just toss that kind of stuff? And those were developed past the Reformation.
Okay.
Things like that is like it's not theology 101.
Okay. Okay. So I would say, because with my faith, there are some topics that I may have to some conflicting opinions about.
Sure.
And so it is harder when I'm dating somebody or trying to date somebody, if they say they have a relationship with God, that's not a 100% green light for me right there, because for them that could mean something different than what it means for me. But as far as just the staples in dating, I mean, there's physical boundaries that I established with dating that I have not always established, but now established with myself when it comes to dating. So that's typically the biggest hurdle to get over, is that those physical boundaries. And then what that relationship with God looks like to them.
Yeah, I was going to ask, so back to the whole Christian label thing, and this kind of flows into this same question, is how do you know when someone says, I'm a Christian man or I'm a Christian woman? Because as I was talking to you before we were live and streaming about my situations with my past 2 relationships that said they were Christian women, and I believed it, and obviously their actions don't speak it.
Right.
So in dating, how do you kind of weed that out? Like, you say you're a Christian, and you are a Christian, you're just not the kind of Christian man that I'm looking for. Like, what are some of those things that you look for?
So I will say, and this kind of dating apps would sort of negate what I'm about to say, because it asks for your religion or your faith on the dating app. But I read something recently that said that if you meet somebody and you're talking to them, in a very short amount of time, if you have to ask them what their faith is, or if they believe in God, or if they have a relationship with God, if they don't say something that leads you to know that without you having to question it.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
You know pretty quickly if somebody's religious or not.
Right. Like I had before this person who I'm getting to know now.
Sure, you grab me something.
Keep going.
Before the person I'm getting to know now, the person who I was quote unquote talking to said that I bring up God in every conversation. He was like, you always bring up God. You just, everything you bring up God. And I wouldn't say that I bring up God in a way that's, you talk about, oh, this grass is really pretty, and I'm like, oh yeah, God is so great, and like
he created chloroform. not chloroform. Not chloroform.
Oh gosh. Remember how we were talking about danger?
Yeah,
dating?
Sorry. Yeah. I'm a horticulturalist. I can't even think of it. Sorry, not chloroform. He did not create that.
Well, I mean, I guess technically, yeah. But anyways, so it's not going to be in that kind of way, but when something's important to you, you want to share it with people.
Yeah, no, I am with you.
So that's kind of how it comes with faith. I mean, if somebody's faith is important enough to them, it's something that I'm going to know about them and be able to tell without them having to say, I believe in God and I'm a Christian, and I pray every day. You don't have to state that if it's something that you're actually living, in my opinion.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, but my whole thing is people can wear masks.